For a time, we tried to contact him by radio, but no response.
Welcome, everybody, to episode 16 of the Dumb Marks podcast. It's your boys, Steve, Chris, along with the other dynamic duo, WWE Jason and Don P over there, popping champagne. Fellas, how's everybody doing? Everybody survived the nor'easter snowstorm from this past week?
Yes. Have fun digging out the driveway that day. Oh, man.
Yeah, I didn't go out and shovel until Thursday night, and my driveway is a hill, unfortunately, and it took me and my son 2 hours to do everything, clean off both cars, the driveway, steps, and all that. It was 2 hours of shoveling, and it just made me realize that I want to move to warmer weather year round.
That couldn't have been good for your shoulder either.
No, not at all. Not at all. Yeah, for everybody, I messed up my shoulder lifting a couple weeks ago. And I don't know exactly what's wrong with it, but from shoveling this week and then this morning, I threw it out vacuuming of all things. So go figure. I need to go get that looked at eventually, or I'll just keep putting it off. But recording in some pain right now, but I'll toughen up and work through it like a true professional does.
You need to get that kinetics tape on it. That's what you need to do. See, that's supposed to be the miracle thing these days.
Yeah. We'll see. I mean, if I have to put on kinetic tape to run the vacuum in my house or scrub the dishes, that I might as well just jump off a bridge. Like, my life's over at that point. I mean, yeah. I'm not.
That'll be the new Olympic sport.
Yeah. No. But yeah, Northeast got pounded with snow this week. So if yous are in the upper Northeast, that New York area, some of the pictures and videos of the snow that they got in like upper New York and that, they got like 4 feet of snow. Pictures were insane. It was crazy. That's probably the most snow in Pittsburgh that I remember in probably like 10 or 11 years, as far as like one time total amount of snow.
Yeah.
I think like 2009 we got snowed in pretty good. That's the last real big snow I remember.
Yeah,
I could be wrong with that.
Yeah, I remember that because that was the day of the Super Bowl. It was the Saints and the Colts play. Because I remember I had to run out to go get Triangle for that game, and it was like hell trying to get it.
Yeah. So, all right. So we're looking. Forecast for this week, it's supposed to be a white Christmas. I can't tell you the last time we actually had a white Christmas in Pittsburgh. Normally it's cold, but actually to have it actually snow on Christmas Day in Pittsburgh, I have to look that up to find the year wise, but it's been a long time since we've truly had a white Christmas. All right, enough about the weather, because none of us are meteorologists and we didn't stay at a Holiday Inn Express last night. Moving on, would you guys come across this week that caught your eye outside of the normal topics we get into? Anything that pop up? We'll bring up in the intro, talk about.
All right. So as everybody knows, the U.S. government added the Space Force, within the year. And yesterday they announced that if you're a member of the Space Force, you're going to be called a Guardian. So they're literally going to be the Guardians of the Galaxy.
I did not see that, but that is tremendous.
Yeah.
So, what are your rankings in the Space Force? Like, do you instead of being a 5-star general, are you going to be called Star-Lord?
I think so.
Is that like, we got, Rocket, Groot, Drax, Star-Lord? Like, are we going to tear it out that way? Like,
Star-Lord's top, Gamora's underneath.
Unbelievable.
So that was pretty interesting. That, like, come on, like, You could have thought through this a little bit better.
Yeah, absolutely. I know for me, I guess the big thing that I saw this week a lot was what's old is new again. So a lot of TV shows are getting reboots, or they're being put back on streaming platforms for people to watch. For depending on your age wise and what you watched, Night Court is getting a reboot. They're bringing back Saturday morning cartoons on MeTV. So Saturday mornings from 7 to 10 will be all your normal Saturday morning cartoons that we grew up watching. So your Tom and Jerry's, your Looney Tunes, Bugs, all that good stuff, which my daughter and I are excited to actually sit down and watch on Saturday morning. So that'll give us some father-daughter bonding time. So looking forward to that. But anything else from TV, movies, series, anything?
Not TVs and movies, but on the PS5 front, down in Florida, they were down in the one Walmart. They were fighting over PS5s again, and they had to call the cops in. And the cops had to arrest a bunch of people because Walmart didn't have the shipment that the people wanted in. And there was people camping outside for 8 hours, and one lady was doing it with her 4-year-old son.
Oh my God.
That's crazy.
A 4-year-old son out there for 8 hours camping for a PS5.
I mean, they still got their son something. I mean, it might not be a PS5, but he's going to celebrate Christmas with COVID.
I don't still like. I mean, people and what's crazy, and this is something that I didn't realize was a thing until just now with the Xbox and the PS5s, with like all the bots and that buying them up, and then people are flipping them on the black market. Well, quote unquote black market, but people are selling them on a secondary market for 2, 3, 4 times the price. I mean, I saw people putting out bundles for like $3,000, and I'm like, people are selling these for $3,000 and people are actually buying them. Like, that's insane. There's no way I would spend that amount of money on something that just dropped.
And you can always
know there's going to be issues and everything else.
So the moral of the story is just wait
Yeah.
a couple months, and they will be in stores. That's it.
It's the same thing every year. There's always something that it's the hot ticket item, and everybody wants it, and everybody tries to sell it. It was Tickle Me Elmo one year. It was the
in the 80s.
the Nintendo thing a couple years ago. There's always something.
Yeah, the Tickle Me Elmo was the big thing when we were younger. That was the last big toy drop where I remember people fighting in the stores for it.
Is that the original?
No, that's the TMX one.
Okay.
There was a rush for that too.
Never would I have thought we would hear an Elmo on this podcast.
Is that loud? I hope that laugh is a trademark somewhere.
I have a rule at work. If you hide it, I buy it. Just because I don't want you to have it.
There you go, teaching lessons. Nice.
Well, Steve, right. I know we're big game show fans here, so I saw this week that the Celebrity Wheel of Fortune is going to start on ABC on January 7th. So that'll be here before we know it. And also, they announced this week that the weeks of December 21st, this upcoming week, and then the week after of December 28th, they're going to be showing Alex Trebek's 10 best episodes of Jeopardy. And then, unfortunately, the week beginning January 4th, that'll be his last week of episodes.
Okay. Yeah, I thought I read something before, like right after he passed, that they recorded episodes to have him, like new episodes to have him on through Christmas, and then that was going to be the end of it. But if you're getting another week out of it, then to run through the new year, it'll be different for sure. Like I said, I don't know. We talked about this when he passed, but I don't know who takes over that show to where it's going to get me to tune in and watch. Like, That's just something that he's done it for so long. It's such a staple. You automatically think one with the other. That to me, it's kind of like it's not going to be the same. So just like how Price is Right was when Bob Barker left.
No.
I'm sure Wheel of Fortune will be the same way when Vanna and Pat are done. Who knows when that will be, because they just seem to continue to go on no matter how many years they've been doing it. So yeah, it'll be different. We'll see how it turns out. I think if you're going brand new, like maybe try to change up the format a little bit, just to make it a new type deal. But we'll see.
Surprisingly, they're not even taking any time off, because the week after Alex is done, the week of January 11th, Ken Jennings episodes are going to start. So there's not even going to be any type of break. So
how long he's going?
They didn't say how many episodes, no, but they said he's not going to be the only host. They're going to do so many with him, then bring somebody else in, do so many episodes with them, and yada yada yada.
Yeah, it's going to be him and the other two guys. I forget their names that did the champions of Jeopardy. When they did that to see who was the actual true champion of Jeopardy, that was on like October-ish, November-ish. Of this year, maybe September, October. But I think those three are going to be the three that they're going to give the shot to first, and see if one of those actually works and stick before they try looking elsewhere for a host.
They'll be interesting, because none of them, especially when they were on the show, really came out with any type of real personality. So
yeah, I mean, that's the contestant, so we'll see if it's different role for them as a host. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
All right. Anybody got anything else in the intro to go over and cover before we hop into the rest of the show?
Yeah, I watched the Bee Gees documentary, of all things.
Oh,
As much as
nice.
I love the music, it was a real good documentary. Real good.
I haven't. What is that on?
It's on HBO Max.
There was that, and then I heard a lot of people talking about that one, and then the Reagan documentary that they're doing now. That's really good as well. So I like documentaries. I watch them all the time. I watched something on Narcos, how the drugs ended up in the United States, based off of Giselle Blanco and her being the queen of cocaine, and how she brought that in starting in the 70s, and it worked all the way up through Pablo Escobar taking over after she passed. So that was really interesting and kind of crazy to watch how they ended up flooding it in the United States. So
what was that
crazy.
on?
That was on Vice, I think. Okay. Vice. Yeah, it comes on Wednesday nights at 10, I think. They have they're covering a bunch of different topics. So
yeah, Jason, I want to check out that Bee Gees one. I saw you post that the other day. That sounds good.
Yeah, it was. I mean, even if you hate disco, it was real good. It tells you, like, I didn't even know they had a brother that one of their hit songs you think is the Bee Gees. It was their brother Andy. Talks about them breaking up, getting back together, and how, like, after disco just ruined them, they had to go in hiding ever since.
Yeah.
It
was like I remember growing up, like the VH1 documentaries that used to be on behind the music. Like those were always fascinating to me, watching those growing up. Like I still remember the Milli Vanilli one. Like it was crazy that they fooled everybody the way they did.
Yeah.
And but yeah, those were always done really well. I really liked watching those. And I watched stuff on Motown and all that. That's my kind of bag whenever I get into documentaries or docuseries, looking at stuff like that. But yeah, done really well. Oh, since we're on music and we're recording this Saturday tonight, last Saturday we had the versus battle between Ashanti and Keisha Cole get canceled due to Ashanti getting COVID. Tonight they're giving us E40 versus Too Short, the Battle of the Bay out there in California. So tune into that. That's on at I think 8 or 9 o'clock. You can watch it on Instagram or Apple. I'll tune in to listen to it Both guys are legends in hip hop and have a ton of music to play. It'll be interesting to hear and see what 20 songs they come up with to go back and forth. But I think it'll be a good battle tonight, and it'll be entertaining to see them two go at it.
Oh, and Steve, have you ever checked out Unsung?
No.
They're on TV One. I think TV One. They like just do a bunch of old artists. Like you get people like John B, the OJs. It's like a bunch of old people, and they'll just like do like a half an hour documentary about their life. Real decent series.
Yeah, I'll check that out for sure, because I like watching that stuff. So, all right, good deal. Anybody else got anything else here?
No, I'm good.
All right, well, let's wrap this up and enjoy the rest of the show. All right, this week, folks, bell to bell. During the intro, since we're all done marks and just forget what we're supposed to be talking about in the intro, this is a Festivus style episode for those of you that are familiar with this show, Seinfeld. We will be airing our grievances in bell to bell this week and in This Week in Sports to talk about what really pushes our buttons and gets us blood boiling. So if you're familiar with it, feel free to chime in, reach out to us on all the social medias and even email the show if you want at dunmarkspod@gmail.com and give us some of your Festivus grievances and air those out for the world of professional wrestling and sports. And we'll kick it off with Chris. Go ahead. I know you got a question to pose to the group before we start airing our dirty laundry.
I think this kind of ties in with the airing of the grievances, and it kind of brings in some history and will kind of allow us to start recapping This Week in Wrestling at the same time. So I'm going to give you guys 3 dates in history that all are referenced almost for this month or This Week in Wrestling. That's going to be December 15th, 1997, December 1st, 2014, and December 17th, 2018. December 15th, 1997 was basically the start of the Attitude Era, when Vince McMahon came out and said that he was tired of insulting our intelligence. I think we all remember that. I think that could be fitting with this week. December 1st, 2014, Vince McMahon was on the Stone Cold podcast, and Stone Cold had asked him how he thought the episodes of Raw had been going lately, and Vince said that he thinks that he's putting on the best type of product that they can put on.
That's the grab your brass ring. Grab the brass ring comment.
And I never expect Vince to, give any issues with his product. But my big takeaway with that was he could have at least said, hey, I think we have a good product, but we can do better. But he just said no, because I think we're giving the best product we can give. And then, of course, December 17th, 2018 was when the McMahons came out and decided to say that we, the fans, were now the authority, that they were listening to us. Going back to this week on Raw and thinking back to these dates that are almost in sync with, This Week in Wrestling, are they still insulting our intelligence, over 20 years later? Are they putting on their best product? And are they actually listening to us, the fans, now?
No, it's the shits. I'll start off. I'll air the grievances. Monday Night Raw was the shits. I lasted 5 minutes. I turned it off. You kick off the show with The Miz in the ring reading "'Twas the Nightmare Before TLC." And then you have a stupid ascension ceremony where you raise the belts up. But meanwhile, on SmackDown last night, the belts aren't hanging from the rafters. So I guess different show, they had to lower the belts because it's a different show. And you're slapping Drew McIntyre with a Braveheart gimmick. That's a movie that's 25 years old. Matt Riddle, who's now just Riddle, is going around like Spicoli from Fast Time at Ridgemont High from an 80s movie as a stoner character, handing out bro nuts and bro dudes and bro dudettes and the bro Hardys, and it's fucking shit.
Yeah, I think I lasted 10 minutes into the show also. Once I saw was the, like you said, Steve, the Nightmare Before TLC, I was like, yeah, I'm done. And I tried to watch Raw, and you know me, I'm not a main roster person at all. I tried to watch it, and I couldn't do it.
It's a Christmas
And not to
episode.
mention, on top of that, Before Jason brings out his defender cape and tries to save this show and save what they did on Monday night, then the freaking booking of Keith Lee, it's just it's horrible. It's absolutely horrible. Go ahead, defender WWE Jason. Come in with your WWE flag waving to save the day and say what you're gonna say.
With my Ronda armbar shirt.
Yeah.
It was a Christmas episode. So, and you got to realize they got to cater to everybody. They can't do like AEW and cater just to adults and throw the middle finger up 5 times a match. You have to cater to everybody. That was for the kids there, and it was entertaining to me. I found it funny.
It was horrible. It was terrible.
Now the rest of the show, I agree with you on the rest of the show.
I mean, if you're gonna, but they have Christmas this week. Christmas episode would be this week. Christmas is this upcoming Friday, not last week. It's a go-home show for a pay-per-view. When is the last time the WWE has done a go-home show that has made you want to watch a pay-per-view? Go ahead, I'll wait. I might turn purple waiting, but I'll wait.
When did Becky break her nose? Was that a go-home show?
No.
No.
That wasn't the go-home show before Survivor Series.
Can't think of one.
Good, I'll wait. I will wait.
Vince already got the money.
That's the
WrestleMania
problem.
17, I'll say.
That's the problem. Like,
because even the after shows haven't been that great. Like the show after Monday after Mania and stuff like that hasn't been that good.
Oh,
yeah.
I just don't. I mean, SmackDown was a little bit better as far as
that was
making me interested in watching the pay-per-view. I mean, it was, but it's just like I know you say you can't cater to you want to cater to everybody because it's a global company and you're doing things that maybe an audience in England likes better than the States or India or whatever. Like, I get that, but at the same time, what's going to drive your product is it's not kids. It's 18 to 49-year-olds, and right now you either have 10 and under, or you have 50. You have 50 and older.
Kids
like you're losing an entire demographic.
I'm telling you, kids was going to drive your product. Millennials aren't. That's for sure. Kids are going to drive your product. All that merch.
So we saw this week too. Steve, you posted the thing that the USA Network is rumored to be furious at Raw. We've seen this in the past, and nothing's changed. But
they want edgier, darker content.
Yeah, we'll see if this happens. I mean, this isn't the first time we've heard this rumor, but we'll see if it actually changes anything.
There too, you have to cater to a network. You got to cater to sponsors.
Yeah,
that's your problem. You got to make everybody happy.
Yeah. And when they went PG, what was that, 10 years ago, their big thing was that they wanted to get Coca-Cola as a sponsor. Coke never really came in and gave them the full sponsorship. They've done like tribute to the troops a couple times, I think. But, it's whenever you can't even get the advertisers you want with your product. I mean, when do you stop and say, okay, we're changing direction? Because we're looking at least 10 years now of this direction, and it just isn't working.
It's not working. It's failing miserably, and Raw's to the point where I literally don't want to watch it at all. I'm fine with reading recaps on different sites that I go on and look at to see what happened, and then if something there catches my eye, then I'll go back to the DVR and look for the segment. But as far as sitting down and watching the show, and granted, we talk about it, so like you kind of got to do it on a weekly basis because we talk about it, and we can't just come in here and shit on a product and not watch it. But at the same time, you're making it really difficult to actually sit down and watch it. You're not. You like. I would love to know how. I would love to know. You know, they give you the hour by hour drop in numbers and ratings. The third hour is always the worst, but like I would love to know the segment breakdown for that of how many people actually tuned in to Raw and how many people they lost before that segment was over. Because I wasn't the only one that I saw on social that said, "Yeah, I'm done with Raw for tonight."
But again, you have a blowout on Monday. You have a what is it? A barn burner on Monday Night Football. That's going to get your attention. So you're going to lose fans.
But that
there.
barn burner, but that Monday Night Football game didn't kick off at 8:00. That Monday Night Football game didn't kick off till after that first segment was over. So if you have people tuned in at right at 8 and you want to hook them and keep them invested in watching the show and not switch over at 8:25 for kickoff, you got to put something better on the TV than what you did in that first segment.
I said this during our TLC prediction show. The only demographic Vince McMahon cares about is Vince McMahon. And if he was entertained in that segment, then that's all that he gives a shit about. And
I was entertained, Vince.
I'll even go one step further. As an investor in WWE, I find it more and more hard to find confidence in their leadership or the company. Whenever I get my investor packet every year, there's a statement in there that says, if something were to happen to Vince McMahon, we are not prepared for that. And we are not prepared to run the company if there would be an untimely death. I have a big problem with that. I've had a big problem with that ever since I've invested in the company, that there's no succession plan or no backup plan if something were to happen to him. And I've been invested with them for over 10 years. And to me, the company doesn't get better. They have so much potential. We know how good the company can be. As fans growing up, in the 90s and after the Attitude Era, the company can give us whatever they want to give us. They're choosing not to give us good quality right now. And I have a big problem with the company, and I'm getting to the point now where I just don't even want to. I don't watch Raw that much, and get to the point where I'm even talking about just getting SmackDown gone too.
All right. Well, that was my big grievance, first grievance there for wrestling. Anybody got anything else to chime in and say? Anybody want to air anything else as far as Raw, SmackDown, NXT, WWE goes? Anything you want to talk about from any of those shows this week?
NXT was pretty dope. Was pretty good. Not dope, but was decent.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how well Austin Theory fits in with Gargano and Candice and Indy. Like they, he
just came back on his own.
Honestly. I can't, I can't deal with him anyways after, like I said, after all the Me Too stuff and the Speak Up stuff. So I'm kind of over him at this point. The Xia Li and Boa storyline with the vignettes they've been doing, it still has me interested, but now I'm getting to the point where, all right, I want to see what's the next step. They've been punished and tortured the last couple of weeks. This week was different. It was them torturing each other. And you see the mystery woman sitting there. So now let's take it. It's been 3 weeks now. Let's move it along and give me the next layer to that story. I'm there for that. Tony Storm, Rhea Ripley, and Raquel. That was a good match between Tony and Rhea. Raquel getting involved. More and more every time I see Raquel, it's just the comparisons to Chyna to me are just they're there. Like to me, I think she's the first woman that you look at and go, "Oh, there's Chyna," which is you thought Chyna was a once in a generation type talent, but I think you can easily make the comparisons between them two.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I even think Rhea shows a little bit of that too, because when Rhea like really came in last year on the main NXT program, you know, I know she can kick my ass.
Yeah, but I think Raquel's more like the body structure, like her body, the way she's filled out, like the gear that she wears, her hair being the darker, longer hair, like to me it just reads more as China. And yeah, Rhea's built similar to her, but I just draw more of a comparison with Raquel than I do Rhea.
Yeah, I gotcha.
Oh,
I like Rhea. I like Tony. I like Raquel. I think they're, especially with the Rhea and Tony match this week, it showed, you know, how strong the two of them are and how far they've come since the UK brand.
well, and I mean NXT clearly has the best women's division out of any roster, right?
No.
And I'm not just talking WWE. I'm talking just period. Is NXT women's division the strongest out of any companies?
I would agree with that argument.
I definitely believe it.
Like War Games, you had 8 former or potential champions in that match.
That's what I mean. You can't go 8 deep in another company that gives you a believable champion. You know, even like to me the knockouts division is probably second as far as like depth wise and strength wise, but even that you can't go 8 deep. So yeah, they have a ton of talent in the women's division now. I think if Triple H and crew down there lean more on the women, you know, I think it could always benefit them more. What about the rumors that they were supposed to do a Queen of the Ring tournament this year, but canceled it due to COVID?
I would like that.
I would like
Yeah,
that.
Yeah.
That's been rumored for a long time now, and they finally have the women for it.
They did the Revolution pay-per-view, which I enjoyed. I really liked that pay-per-view, the all women's pay-per-view that they put on. It was great. You had past acts come back, you know, legends, if you will. It was a really good pay-per-view. Haven't done anything like that since. And I know you hear occasionally from different people, especially Sasha Banks from time to time, she'll chirp up and chime in and say, hey, you know, it's time for either a Women's Revolution 2. You know, this Queen of the Ring tournament was floated out. But yeah, the women in NXT right now are head and shoulders above the rest. So we'll see where that goes from there. Anything else you want to touch on WWE wise from any of the shows?
Yeah, I got a quick question for you guys for NXT. Do you seem like the promotion is getting too top heavy? It seemed like they're really focused on like the main event for both men and women, and like all their top people are there, but like the bottom of the roster is really not getting that much play. It's starting to seem how like AEW was when they first came on. Very, very top heavy.
So for me, with the men's division, I wouldn't say it's been top heavy because all your big hitters have been out injured. You know, if you look at this last run, it was your main guys for NXT was McAfee, Birch, Lorcan, and Pete Dunne. And none of those you would consider to be your heavy hitters. Balor's been out because of the broken jaw. O'Reilly's missed time. They've written off Cole. You know, Bobby Fish, Roderick Strong, like that all played into that storyline. Fish is injured now out of War Games, so don't know how long he's going to be out. You're just getting Karrion Kross to return. I think you haven't been too top heavy because your main cogs have been out.
Well, like you haven't been like the 205, not 205. What is that belt called?
Cruiserweight or North American.
Yeah, you haven't seen much of that lately defended.
No, you haven't. They ran that storyline with Escobar and Swerve and Atlas for a while, and then Atlas challenged and lost. And I don't know where you go from there. The biggest thing that's been lacking has been, and it was always the strong suit of NXT, was the tag team division.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that was due to COVID or they just didn't have many teams down there, but
They did lose Grizzled Young Vets and Imperium. So that's 2 right there.
Yeah, but I mean, even though like you didn't see, I mean, tag team wise there for a while, it was super thin. The thinnest it's been in NXT for a long time. So I hope they can do that. I hope they can change that around. I think with bringing in the Rascals, you got Breezango, you got Imperium, Grizzle Young Vets. You still got Undisputed Era. You got Oni and Birch. So like you got teams. It's just a matter of building them up now.
Yeah,
they could use some fresh blood in there too. I don't necessarily need to see anybody move from NXT to the main roster because we know just what happens with that. But especially when the Rascals come in, I think that'll help out that tag division.
Yeah. So, all right. All right. Who's next to air a grievance? Anybody? Nobody?
I know we have grievances more than what we've talked about.
Jason, where's your?
I don't have any grievances there.
No, just in general with wrestling. You're the AEW hater, so I know you got some AEW grievances to air.
I do have a grievance. Like my grievances with Raw as a whole. I'm just trying to figure out how is there an extreme difference between Raw and SmackDown. Like it seems like SmackDown's close to knocking it out of the park every week, and Raw is just a struggle to make it through. Like
because SmackDown is on Fox.
Fox is that because you're telling USA wants?
The Fox worked in USA.
So let's dig into this, right? So I'll throw three names at you, and then this will pretty much sum up why SmackDown's been above and beyond better than Raw. Roman Reigns, Sasha Banks, Bayley. I mean, that's it. That's the reason why. Reigns has been phenomenal since SummerSlam. So you got August through December. Sasha and Bayley have done their thing all year long. And when you look at Raw, you
can just cancel out the women's division on Raw because they're not doing much with that other than tag matches every week.
Yeah, and I mean, like, you get hints of it on Raw. The Hurt Business is a good example of something that's been put together on Raw that's come up, that's entertaining, that got me invested in seeing what they're gonna do with them. I enjoy that. Orton has had potentially his best year as a WWE superstar, which is crazy to say because of how long he's been in the game. Yeah. So I mean, he's been really good. Drew, for all intents and purposes, like, whether it's fair or unfair given the pandemic and not having a crowd to see if it was a different championship run and feel for him, but like I don't think they've booked to help Drew as champion. So like that right there has brought it down. I just think it's philosophy, it's time being 3 hours versus 2, and it's obviously McMahon has always been more hands-on with Raw, even though he's the end-all be-all for both shows, but Raw has always been more Vince's deal, and he's the one that's gonna ride it till the wheels fall off. And I think they're being closest to they've ever been to the wheels coming off that show.
I remember back with the first brand split back in 2002, not long after it happened, Raw really kind of went downhill and SmackDown was really the show to watch.
That was Heyman 6. That was when Heyman was running SmackDown with Heyman 6, and he built it around 6 people.
Yeah. It was a great show.
And that's what I think. See, that's where I think Raw needs to get back to. You need to pick out your your group of 4 to 8 people that you're going to build your show around, whether it's a combination of men, women, tag team, however you want to do it. But get your 4 to 8 people, build the show around that, and then you can fill in the rest afterwards. Yeah. SmackDown, you're obviously building it around Roman. You're building it around Bayley and Sasha. Like, you have your foundation for that show, and you're building your show around them and those storylines, and it's been good TV. Raw, you don't have a foundation at all. So you need to figure out who your players are going to be, who you want to be your foundation for your show, and build the show around them, and then book accordingly after that.
I think we're going to get to that, because even taking into account what that was, you know, even though Paul Heyman was doing such a good job with SmackDown then, they were coming up on the Raw 10th anniversary at the time, and Vince was just like, oh yeah, we got to make the flagship show the show again to watch. So SmackDown started taking a back seat then, and Raw got the front seat. And what do you figure? It's been a little over a year now since SmackDown's been on Fox. It's becoming the flagship show, being on network television. It's getting the promotion. It's getting the better storylines. And there's gonna come a day, and it could happen tomorrow. It could happen 2 days. It could happen a month from now, that Vince is gonna be like, "All right, time to make Raw the best show again." And
I don't know if that'll
whenever it happens for him. It's not anybody else but him.
But I don't know if that'll ever happen with the amount of money that Fox is paying them.
It's not necessarily that they're gonna take anything away from SmackDown. It's going to go back to Raw's the flagship of the company. No matter what, it's the show of the company, and they're going to, at some point, they'll put the attention back on that program. Whether it could even be we have 2 more years till its 30th anniversary. Maybe it takes another year for it to happen, but at some point they're going to focus everything back on Raw, and it won't be on SmackDown.
All right, moving on here. Any gripes, any grievances that we want to get off our chest about AEW, and then we can get into the show from this week.
Brawls.
Brawls?
AEW brawls. Every week there's a brawl. I'm over it. I've been over it for a year now.
I think that goes back into like the, I don't want to say WCW style of booking that they do. But I think it's a way to, you can get more people on TV. It's a way to plant seeds for different storylines down the road. I get it. I get what you're saying. I do see that. Less is more in an instance. But, I mean, I don't know. How many of those brawls can you name that didn't turn into anything, or were just exactly what it was, and it was just a brawl to get it on TV?
All of them not involved in the inner circle.
Well, no, because you had, I mean, like the brawls with Brody and Moxley led to a title match. The Dark Order and the Nightmare Family led to matches. The Thunder Rosa and Britt Baker's brawls over the last couple of weeks have been really good and have furthered that storyline along. The hatred between them two and animosity is there. And I love what Britt Baker did. Thunder Rosa cut a great promo this week, and Britt attacked her from behind, and smeared her. So I mean, I get it.
Those 1-2-person brawls are not bad. It's like a 30-man brawl just for no reason. It's just
No, I get you. I get you. Well, today, I mean, I guess this week you did have brawls this week.
Yeah.
You had the Eddie Kingston and that Lance Archer, Pac, that whole scenario played out, which was a brawl.
Well, I mean, they really do have one every week, at least one a week.
Do you take any? So the ratings for Dynamite dropped this week. They dropped to 806,000, which is about, I want to say like a 60,000 drop off from last week. In a almost a 100,000 drop from what they did 2 weeks ago with The Winter Is Coming. We've seen this before with AEW where they'll be in the high 8s, low 9s, and then for some reason, like 1 week, they'll just drop all the way down to like 800,000, and it'll be like, what's going on? Like,
Yeah.
why is it happening?
How are you not consistent? That's what bothers me sometimes.
I think there's
I don't know.
so many. I think there's a lot of. I think there's just a lot of factors that go into being consistent like that. It just depends on the people, the storylines, everything. I didn't see anything wrong with it dropping to where it dropped this week. It was still consistent to where they normally are. They don't have a pattern of hitting 900,000, 900,000, 900,000. It's always a tick up, a tick down, tick up, tick down type of situation.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. For them being, a year and 3 months into being a company, I think they're happy with where they're at and where they've been at.
Yeah.
Being in that mid 8 range, like 8.5 every week. If you were to average it out over the course of the year, plus you'd probably end up around 850,000 for them on a weekly basis. Which, I mean, I'm sure they'll take being a brand new company and finishing, typically in the top 5 as far as demographic goes for their audience and what they're looking to hit from a show wise. Anything from the show itself that you want to air a grievance about from this past week, or what you like, didn't like?
I like Don Callis and Tony Schiavone going back and forth during the Omega match.
How great was that?
Yeah.
Kiss my ass. That was the line of the year right there. Needs to be a shirt. Put it up on Pro Wrestling Tees and get that merch out there, because I'll buy it myself. Besides that was the best "kiss my ass" line since Vince said it to Regal in the first "Kiss My Ass" club. Like that was so well done.
I think my favorite Tony line was whatever he said about Don Callis and Kenny Omega going. He helped Impact go from 1 viewer to 6.
Yeah, like Schiavone. Hey, Schiavone has been knocking it out of the park since he came back. He's having so much fun, and you can hear it. And the stuff he's done with Britt Baker has been great. Like, I got no complaints with having Schiavone in the booth at all.
Didn't he say something after the Brit Thunder Rosa thing was like, "Oh, that bitch."
Yeah.
he just has those one-liners, and they're so well timed. Like you're getting more of the Tony Schiavone that you hear on the What Happened When podcast with Conrad on a weekly basis. And I think he's just out there having fun. Like, he's enjoying himself. He's glad to be back in wrestling. He's not hampered, doesn't have to deal with all the political stuff backstage and everything else. He's just out there having fun and winging it. But I mean, he's been a true enjoyment of the show for me, for sure.
Yeah, so, I think probably my grievance this week was, we just got off of Moxley being champion, which Moxley very rarely had a regular wrestling match. It was always some type of brawl, some type of street fight. And that's exactly what Kenny Omega went into this week with Joey Janela. And I'm hoping that's the last of that for a bit. We see him. He's going to be fighting Phoenix in a couple weeks, and I think that's going to be a great wrestling match. But yeah, it fit the story. It fit the story that they were telling, because it was a harken back to, he was supposed to face Janela in the first round of the number 1 contender tournament. Mm-hmm. Janela wasn't able to go because of COVID. And they told this story of, well, would Kenny have won if he faced Janela? Like,
that you can't claim that you were the true number one contender, like how they did with Pac coming out with Phoenix. Like, hey, Phoenix never lost. He was hurt, so can you really call yourself the true champion? And I think the Janela match happened to further along that storyline. So whenever Pac and them came out after the match and said what they said, it hit home more from a story aspect. It made more sense, and commentary did a good job of hammering the point home too. I don't see Omega having those style matches going forward. I don't. I think it was just because it was Janela wanted to prove a point, go out there. I'll beat you at your game, which is no DQ stuff. Show a more vicious side of my heel persona, the cleaner, the collector character, and show that this isn't just the Kenny Omega in the ring that pauses, for 20 seconds before I hit a V trigger because I'm playing at a crowd. No, I'm gonna stand up, hit the ropes, and smack you in the mouth with a V trigger. Like,
it was a good little match. I mean, it was quick. It was action packed. I was cool with it, but it was just, it's not Kenny, I guess, in a way. So yeah, I get your argument with it though.
So my grievance is going to be that I'm upset that we're not going to get Brandy and Cody versus Shaq and Jade Cargill.
Good.
Good. Brandy and Cody had the baby announcement. They're expecting a new Little Nightmare, which is already, Little Nightmare onesies are already up for sale. So good job capitalizing on that merch.
They do.
Another Cody moment.
Yeah. So you get that announcement there. Cody and Angelico was a good match. I thought Angelico was strong. They really put over him in his submission game. How dangerous he can be on the ground and getting people to tap out. So we'll see. You got Sting come out afterwards and kind of run off the Team Taz. So again, we kind of think we know where that's going, but we really don't know where that's going. I'm going to say it's going to lead to a 6-man tag, and we'll get that as the payoff. But we'll see what happens there.
Don't air your grievance. Air your grievance.
Nah, I'll save that.
Air your grievance.
No, put it out there. This is what the whole point of the show is, the air grievances this week. Let's go. Get it out there.
And you know how it is every week. What's Sting doing out there for? Please tell me, what is he doing out there for? What is he doing?
I was thinking about this week. So
what's he doing?
Is he
further in the new talent?
The whole point of him is to kind of be there for a new audience. It might be a name they recognize, but to kind of capitalize on some new fans to know who Sting is, sell new merch, do whatever. Because I was thinking back, this might not be the best example, but it was like one of the first ones that came to mind, was in the early 90s. I hadn't watched much wrestling prior to 1990. And they brought in Bob Backlund around like 93, 94.
I brought you back.
Backlund was. It's like I didn't know him as WWE champion, but I'm sure there were people probably going that had watched the product back then going like, what the hell is Bob Backlund doing on my screen right now?
All right, my new grievance is that you just compare Bob Backlund to Sting. What the hell are you thinking?
I'm just saying, because I know
that comparison.
I'm not saying that they're equal. I'm just saying I know how much Donald hates having legends come back, and I just think that it's just to get a different audience and get a new generation on it. What
is Sting? Sting is a known brand, a known entity, right? 30 plus years in the business. Everybody knows who Sting is, right? So if you hear Sting is in AEW, maybe that gets people to tune in and watch. Maybe they haven't watched wrestling for whatever, and Sting was their favorite when they were little, and oh my God, Sting's back. Let me put on the show and see what this new wrestling's all about. Like, he's a known entity. I think Sting is more there for the backstage, behind the scenes business aspect of AEW as a company, as he is on, more than what he's going to be on screen as far as in-ring wrestling.
Oh, I'm good with that. He can stay backstage. He don't need to be in the camera. He could be sitting up where Dorp sitting at, like his little perch up there. He can sit up there.
What are your thoughts on Goldberg?
Oh, you know where my thoughts on Goldberg is.
I mean, Steve just waxed poetic about Sting. What's your thoughts on Goldberg?
But here's the difference between the two, right?
There's no difference.
There is a difference because we've seen Goldberg the past 3-4 years. Like, I don't need Goldberg anymore. You don't need. And Sting's not going to win the AEW championship.
Oh, you don't know that.
Really?
They won't do that. I'll bet any amount of money they won't do that.
You'll probably recreate the Finger Puck of Doom for that.
No, not at all. There's no way. No, I mean, look, is Sting going to be out there on a weekly basis having 5-star matches and taking the shine off of younger talent? No. Is he going to have a match here and there and work tag teams and stuff to where he can be protected if he can even go in the ring? We don't even know if he can go in the ring.
No.
So, I mean, it's only a couple weeks old. Let's see where this storyline goes and then how they'll proceed in the future with him. I just think it's a known brand for a company that's trying to establish itself that may want to attract other sponsors or whatever, and Sting is a way to have them go into a board meeting and say, here's this known brand, here's this known entity, he can reach X number of people, let's work on a deal.
He could do that by being a guest commentator at the desk.
Sting's not a talker. Sting's not a talker.
They have too many commentators as it is anyways. They're very commentator heavy.
Speaking of that, how great was Orange Cassidy just putting on the headset and it's not even plugged in?
Sliding the mic up.
Like that was good. All right. Anybody got anything else from AEW Dynamite this week?
I want to circle back to something.
Go ahead.
So you said that you're disappointed that we're not going to see the Cody and Brandy tag match.
That's not a real grievance. I just brought it up as a way to talk about it from the show.
Do you think that they're going to replace Brandy with somebody else in this match, or
no? They'll change the angle completely. I don't know what they're going to do. I have no idea what they're going to do now because, based off the interview with Shaq, it kind of led towards it was going to be more Brandy and Jade were going to be featured, and then Cody and Shaq would tag along in it. Which, if you're gonna make Jade a person in the women's division, let her get some shine off Brandy and Cody. That's not a bad way to elevate somebody immediately. So, we'll see where that goes. Now, who knows what they're gonna do, how they're gonna book it. But if it's just a straight Cody versus Shaq match 1-on-1, I don't think I'm there for it. But
no.
Hey, if they're about to do a mixed tag, let's just check out some more legends. What's Trish Stratus doing that day?
Yeah. So Donald's grievances is he hates all legends. That's pretty much what he's saying. He hates all legends. So doesn't matter what company, where they show up, who it is. They hate all legends. Right?
He's consistent.
I'm looking for the future.
Speaking of future, my grievance is that MLW is only an hour long. I love everything MLW is doing since they came back. The run with the Opera Cup tournament has been great. The introduction of new characters has been great. This week I saw last night that their Mil Muertes is going to be showing up in MLW. For those of you that watched Lucha Underground, he was probably my favorite, if not top 1 or 2 characters on that show. I love the way he works in the ring. He's a big son of a bitch that is just mean and ferocious and nasty. MLW played into the Lucha Underground storyline with him on how they're bringing him in. So I hope they book him the way Lucha did, because it'll be way better. And I just want to see him and Jacob Fatu go at it in a ring, and I think I'll be a happy man if I get that match.
Are you caught up on MLW?
I have this past week's episode to watch. So I just saw the clips of Serena De La Renta and the vignettes that they did to introduce her, bringing Mill back. I love the way that they introduced him. I love that storyline. Her and Conan continuing their beef and her coming back for revenge after she's been, shunned away and quote unquote exiled from MLW. So yeah, give me that. Let her run with Mill, and she doesn't have to play the Katrina role that Katrina played with Mill and Lucha, but her doing her thing with him, I think it'll be a nice addition to the product that they already have that's strong to begin with.
She's such a star for that company.
She's only like 24 years old too.
Yeah, she's real young.
It's crazy. She's like 23, 24 years old. She's already she's been executive producer on shows. She's formatted shows. She's ran shows for them. I mean, her stuff has always been good. Storyline wise and the way she portrays her character, for her to be so young, she fits that style and that company perfectly for what she does for them.
So yeah, I saw. I didn't catch up on this week's episode yet. I'm gonna do that this weekend. But I did see that the Opera Cup finals are Loki and Tom Lawler. So I'm still going with my original pick that Tom Lawler is unfortunately going to win it.
Yeah, I was a little disappointed in that. I wanted to see them go with Holiday. Kind of elevate him up. I think having the run of beating who he would have beat in the Opera Cup would have been a good way to establish him and get him moved up the card. But listen, Loki and Tom Lawler are going to have a hell of a brawl. It will be hard hitting.
I lost a lot of interest in MLW whenever he was champion because I just didn't care about him as champion. But I really like Fatu, the little bit that I've watched of him now, and I think that you're right. If they do a Fatu and Mil Muertes match, that's going to be something to watch. I hope that's on a pay-per-view, not just on an episode of TV too.
Yeah, if you haven't tuned in to MLW, tune in. I guarantee you, within a couple weeks it'll be must see, probably one of your favorite promotions that are out right now. They've really done a great job. Court Bauer has continued to put out great television, great stories, great writing. And like I said, he continues to introduce new characters and build them up for as long as he has them. So he has his foundation blocks. He got Hammerstone and Jacob Fatu signed long deals, and he's going to build around them too and work off of them too and go from there with a couple of the other stars that he has. And he knows he's going to lose people to AEW, to WWE, but while he has them, he said it himself on Jericho's product. For as long as I have them, I'm going to shine them up and make them the best that they're going to be, so that way when they leave my company, not only are they going to put me over to other wrestlers that come in and work for the company, but they're going to be better off and be much stronger as a performer when they leave. So kudos to him and MLW for what they're doing right now. Anybody got anything else with that?
Chris, have you aired a grievance yet?
Huh?
Has Chris aired a grievance yet? Other than
I started off with Vince.
Your stock share.
Yeah, he started off with Vince.
I'd have a couple more if nobody else has anything else.
No, kick him up. Let's go.
All right. It'll be a quick one for the next one. I hate roll-ups. I'm getting so tired of all these matches ending with a roll-up. It's been way too much. They gotta stop that shit. And that's not even just on WWE. Yeah, it really is becoming that. Using it like a super kick, using it like a DDT. It's especially with a 24/7 championship. There's very rare one of those title matches change hands without a roll-up.
Yeah, no,
You gotta stop. It's been way too much.
Yeah.
It's the most devastating move in all.
And then I think other than that, the only other grievance that I kind of have, it's not even so much a grievance, but it's all these shows that they air on TV that are specials now. We'll take Impact, for instance, okay? They have a pay-per-view coming up on January 16th, Hard to Kill. The week before, they're having a special called Genesis. It's like, so now you have to build up to that, and then a week later you have to build up to the pay-per-view. That's too close together.
Well, so with Impact, they've done this. They've done this before. They've done this. We saw this before Bound for Glory. I think the way that they program their TV and the way that they shoot, television wise, recording, 2 months of TV out at once, and that, I think it's just a way for them to, I don't know. I'm trying to defend it, and I don't think I really can, because it does take away from the pay-per-view in certain aspects, because matches are going to be, like before Bound for Glory, you knew Rich Swann wasn't losing the title because he was facing Eric Young, and that was your main event of Bound for Glory. So you knew he wasn't gonna lose, but before that, I don't know. I tried to defend it, but I can't.
And I mean, it's not even just them. I mean, that's the example that I used, but I mean, it's even AEW. They're gonna have 3 weeks of specials in a row.
NXT.
NXT's doing the January. Everybody has something in January at this point. It's like it's a lot, and
even like those gimmick, those retro vintage NXT ones.
Yeah,
those are Wednesdays.
I think with AEW, they normally take off. Well, they did last year. They took off time. I mean,
they did.
This stuff is already taped, so like, you're giving the wrestlers a break for a couple weeks, letting them have time off, be with family over the holidays, and then getting ready to come back and start the year fresh. I don't necessarily have a problem with it. I think if it continues to be a monthly thing, and that it can get to be too much, to where it's like, all right, you're not even having, like, you're taking away from pay-per-views because you're running specials in between your build. So I can see where you're coming from with that.
Yeah, because TNA was the first one to really do it a lot. Whenever they took off, like, they decided, okay, we're not going to do 12 pay-per-views a year. We're going to go down to 4. But then they were like, okay, but every month we're still going to have a special event. And it's just like, cool, but, maybe, and I think that this way for AEW more than NXT and Impact now, just do long-term story planning. Like, you don't have to do something every month. It pays off better down the long run if you wait 2 to 3 months for a pay-per-view.
Yeah, and AEW is, because they have the 4 main shows, and I guess you can say 5 because Fyter Fest has been around both shows, but that's more of like a charity show where they donate the proceeds to a certain charity, so it's not necessarily a main pay-per-view. But there's time there where you have 3-4 months in between pay-per-views. So if you want to run a special 2 months in, I'm okay with doing that. As long as the storytelling it works and it still plays out to get your pay-per-views lined up where you want them to go. I don't know. We'll see what happens with it. I don't know if it's maybe like a pandemic thing, and it's a way to get people tuned in, because it's a special and it's not a regular weekly show, so you can get more people tuned in. If it's like a ratings grab type deal, but we'll see what happens from there. One thing I do want to bring up before we wrap up Bell to Bell this week: did anybody watch Ring of Honor last night? Final Battle?
No.
Everything that I saw was nothing but praise for this show.
That's good.
I was interested in the show itself, based off of some of the stuff that they've gone through and booked. You weren't getting EC3 and Jay Briscoe due to EC3 testing the COVID, but you did get Shane Thorne stepping in, and him and Jay Briscoe went at it. You had the debut of Bestia Del Ring instead of Bestia 666 in the heavyweight match between Roosh and Brody King. So he debuted and has joined Roosh's faction. So apparently, Roosh is going to stay around and sign a new deal with ROH.
Did Roosh retain?
Yeah, he retained. He beat Brody King due to the interference. It was but I mean, nothing but praise and high regards for ROH putting on a really strong show. So for them to have the type of acclaim that they did for this show, and I've been really high on them since the Pure tournament and what they've done with that, and how they've branched off of that tournament, which was a great way to bring ROH back and reestablish what they are. Just really done well. So if you haven't watched it, I would suggest to go back on the fight and order it, or whatever, to watch it. It was for all intents and purposes a very, very good pay-per-view for them.
I'm glad to hear that, because I actually heard that I heard a rumor that Roosh might have had to gone back to Mexico, so I'm glad that he retained the title.
Yeah. So whether he works more in Mexico, I don't know, but with Bestia coming in, I don't, to me that was the sign that they got a deal done, and they're gonna move forward with him as champ. So we'll see. Like I said, they've done good stuff. They got a nice roster again when you look over and see what they're doing. So I hope ROH can kind of elevate themselves back up and be talked about more along the lines of how people talk about AEW, WWE, and now Impact with the crossover.
Speaking of deals with people, I saw the Lucha Brothers extended their contracts with AEW. I don't know when their deals will expire. All I heard was that up to 2022, so I don't know if it expires at the beginning or the end of 2022, but glad to see if they're going to be sticking around.
Yep. There was speaking people with contracts. Apparently, Ethan Page's contract with Impact is coming up, and he's not going to re-sign.
How do you feel about
that? I don't know. I mean, if that's the case and that's true, I can see why they're booking the way they're booking with the North and the stuff that they're doing right now, and kind of be a way to end that tag team. I don't know if he goes elsewhere and he doesn't re-sign with Impact. Anywhere but WWE will be good for him. I don't see him going to WWE and doing anything.
I like him. I'm not sure if I'm strong enough on him yet as a singles competitor. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
I think he has talent, but yeah, I don't know if I've seen enough of him, I guess, as a singles wrestler to say that I could see him branch out.
All right. Anybody got anything else that they want to air a grievance for as far as the world of pro wrestling goes?
Yes, I have one more grievance. One more.
Go ahead, Legend Hater.
When promotions give out like stuff on their social media, it was like save it for the show. I'm not all into that. Like an example, when Morrison signed with WWE, it would have been good if they would have kept that secret because it was a time around the Rumble and he would have been surprise entrance, but they put it out on social media months before.
So here's what I'll say to be devil's advocate on this grievance. It's really hard to keep a secret nowadays. Really hard. Like, I mean, the fact, and even though you don't like him, but the fact that AEW was able to keep Sting a secret, to where he came out and nobody knew that he was actually coming out and debuting for AEW, goes to show that it can be done in this day and age. I just think it's really hard with all the social medias, all the dirt sheets, all the websites, all the podcasts, everybody, somebody has it in somewhere talking to somebody. It's really hard to keep that stuff hidden and quiet. But on the flip side, I guess if you're gonna do it, then do it all the way. Like if you're gonna spoil it, then turn it into like a free agency signing, in sports where you're turning in as soon as midnight hits on the first day of free agency, you're looking to see who signed where. So if you got people that are out there that are free agents, like put it out there immediately. Don't do the we're going to save and secretly debut this person, but the other person, we're just going to put it out there on all the socials that they re-signed.
Yeah, they definitely play fast and loose with that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, when's the last time WWE did a big reveal that and nobody expected? AJ at the Rumble?
Probably.
That was it.
New Day coming back at Mania, or I'm not New Day. The Hardys coming back at Mania.
Yeah, it's very
They
rare.
spoiled MVP. I mean, it wasn't spoiled, but did they? No, they spoiled MVP for the Rumble.
Yeah,
I think like some random person did it though, not like the WWE yourself or some dirt sheet. It was like somebody saw the turkey farm being worked.
Like, was Edge a surprise? Yeah, Edge was a surprise, but that was rumored for months in advance, and it was him saying no, I'm not coming back, trying to downplay it. But that was, I guess, Roman coming back at the end of SummerSlam was a surprise that nobody was expecting. But
you never saw it coming, did you?
Yeah, that's the other thing. I'm glad you brought that up. This is my last grievance, and we've been on bell to bell for a while, so we'll end it on this topic here. Can we stop with the fucking hashtag taglines of pay-per-views that they've been selling me on? Enough is enough. I can't stand if I go into another pay-per-view and hear the freaking tagline for 3 weeks in advance after every single segment and sentence, and Michael Cole and Corey Graves working in Best of the Best and never seeing it come in and all that. Like, just knock it off. I don't give a shit.
It's Michael Cole 101 right there, man. That's what he does.
It doesn't matter. It does nothing.
That soundbite every week.
It's only for. Again, I get it for social media purposes, but it's too much.
Yeah, it's way too much. It's overhanded. It doesn't need to be that heavy.
If you hashtag TLC, you want to get years and years of TLC. So I get it, but I hate it just as much.
I don't think there is one for TLC, is there?
Oh, just wait.
Yeah, it's called WTF. It's called What the Fuck, because that's what this pay-per-view is going to be on Sunday, or What the Fuck. All right, I don't have nothing else in bell to bell. Anybody else got it? We'll wrap this up. We went long this week on this, but
I got 3 real quick. I need AEW fans to admit that that each show is not the best one yet. I need AEW to stop touting the deepest tag division if they're just going to be filler. And I need WWE to stop with interviews after every match. That's it. Those are my 3.
All right, so let's knock these out real quick. The first one, AEW fans to admit that not every show is the best.
They won't call bullshit when they won't bash the product. I'll tell you when shit's wrong with WWE.
Mr. I found the night before TLC entertaining. Yeah, you really tell us how it is.
I can't say anything in defense of that, or trying to play the other side of the coin, because
only thing they'll ever call out is the women's division. That's it.
Well, and they got to stop booking. They got to stop booking the women's division at the 9:30 time slot every week too. Change the format up. I know every single week when the women's match is going to happen. Every single week. Yeah, like, come on, dude. Yeah. So whatever. All right, we'll skip that one. The second one, AEW touting that they have the deepest tag team division whenever it's nothing but filler. I can see that. I think right now with the Young Bucks, if they're gonna have a tag team main event a show, and this isn't just because they're the EVPs of the company, I think having the Young Bucks as the headline in that main event slot against somebody else is where you would do it. I just think they're kind of sorted out who goes where and where they fit in that division to work out properly. Like, it comes to a point where you have so many teams that it's like, all right, what do we do? Because you have so many teams. You know what I mean? Like, not an abundance of riches. At some point, it's like, all right, I'm Jeff Bezos. I made another $1 billion today. What am I going to buy? Well, I don't know. I just bought everything I wanted to buy. So, like, if you have 10 to 12 tag teams, it's like, all right, what do we do with this? Who do we push? Where do we go? Then do teams get lost in the shuffle? Like, I don't know. At some point, maybe,
Like, to me, House Party and Jurassic Express were lost in the shuffle. They're
right, and
using
I
House
think
Party, but
you're
not for
you're
nothing
getting
important.
how they're the party. They're them and Matt Hardy are doing their thing, so that's a storyline there that's being played out. Lucha Express and FTR are getting ready to start building towards something. So yeah, but like I said,
I feel like it's
you
going to
have
be those
so
three.
many.
I think those three are going to be the Usos and New Day.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
And then the last one with the interviews after every match in WWE.
I love Kayla Braxton. I don't need to see her at that many times a show.
When did it start where you just automatically run up to somebody as soon as they walk back through the curtain? Like,
During COVID.
like coming off the stage after you win a Grammy or an Oscar and you hit the person up right away.
It was because I know like one of the SmackDowns did it, and it was like right after the match they were in the ring, and that was real annoying. But that was sometime this year.
That was with Renee. I remember for a while she did that. It like as soon as the match was over, where she was in the ring, like instantly.
Yeah.
I think it's them trying to give that like real sports feel. Like, hey, your game just ended. How you feeling? Like, how do you think it went? Type stuff.
But, yeah, like the UFC deal, and that's been this will be a thing for sports grievances, but that doesn't always work out the best either. No. So, all right, well, that's it. Anybody else got anything else to cap this off? Nope. Silence is golden. All right, that's Bell to Bell this week. This week's Drink of the Week segment is brought to you by those holiday times with family members, especially that drunk aunt or uncle that tells you too much information about your mom or dad. We don't need to hear all those stories. Uncle Joe, I don't need to hear the story about, my mom doing XYZ. Like, and why do you even know that? So yeah. So,
anything that you want to share with us?
Nope, didn't happen to me. Haven't. Luckily, I have not had that encounter with my family, but I know plenty of families that have had that situation pop off. So, thankfully, it hasn't been mine. But yeah. So this week's Drink of the Week segment is going to be reviewing the Bell's Christmas Ale out of Comstock, Michigan. It is a Scotch ale by Bell's Brewery, Inc. We figured we'd give you guys a Christmas ale since it is Christmas week this week. The label itself says that it's a traditional Scotch ale, is rich and malty with notes of caramel and warm finish, certain to make any occasion festive or at least a bit more bearable, hence the drunk aunt or uncle story. Enjoy with the company of friends and family. It is a 7.5% alcohol by volume. And Chris, we noted before we got on here, the interesting here, they give a packaging date and a shelf life on the label.
Yeah, it's a shelf life of 6 months. I've never seen that on a bottle before.
No, hey, kudos to them, though. That lets me know if I buy it. I know if I lose it in the back of the fridge behind the mustard and the relish that I got 6 months to find it and drink it. So
right. I don't know. I mean, it has it on here, enjoy with company of friends and family. I don't know. Whenever I'm drinking around family, it's usually not for enjoyment. It's more out of necessity. But
yeah. So I've never had a Scotch ale, so I'm very interested to drink this beer. This will be my first time drinking a Scotch ale beer. So That's one of the reasons why I picked it up for us to review. And because, with it being a Christmas ale and Christmas this coming week, I figured it'd be good to give a Christmas beer as well.
You never forget your first, right?
Depends on who that first is with.
Moving on.
Yeah. I haven't forgot mine, but again, it depends on who it's with.
Right. Whenever you're smelling it, do you smell anything? I'm not getting much at all.
No, like as far as looking to pick up on spices or anything like that, like no, there's nothing that immediately comes out of the bottle and goes, okay, I can expect to taste this.
Yeah, no. I mean, what it says, I'm definitely picking up first sip is that malty finish to it. It's smooth. 7.5 and smooth. Yeah, there's some flavor in here.
Yeah, the rich and malty with notes of caramel and warm finish, like that is dead on, spot on what this beer is when you're drinking it, for sure.
For a Christmas ale, and kind of like the Christmas ale and the winter warmers sometimes can be heavily spiced, this is just a perfect smooth like I'm not getting any heavy aftertaste. I'm not smelling a lot like to overpower that. I'm not getting any heavy aftertaste with that at all. It is a smooth beer, and I can get in trouble with this.
I because this is my first Scotch ale that I've drank, I will definitely look into other Scotch ales just to see if I like them as much as I enjoy this one. Like, I am very surprised at how this is. It was a shot in the dark, throwing a dart at a dartboard, trying to just pick a random beer to sample, and like this is a really good beer, like really good beer.
Last week we had the Southern Tier Old Man Winter, and I like that. I like that because it was light, it was crisp, and I felt like I could drink a lot of that. This one, I'm really enjoying it. It's a little bit heavier, and so I don't feel like I could really sit down and have a 6-pack of this. And I think they were both the same percentage. I think they were both 7.5. This
one might be a little bit more, or you could be right. They could be spot on, but yeah, the Christmas ale is heavier for sure. Not heavy as far as a stout or anything, but compared to the winter warmer, it is a little bit heavier of a beer. But I tell you what, like if you space these out properly, you can ride that just solid buzz straight through Christmas Eve and wake up Christmas morning ready to go.
Yeah.
Like don't sit, if don't pound them down. But this is like, everybody's showing up at the house, taking coats and everything else, cracking one open, and then just steady pace throughout the evening. You'll have that nice continued buzz, and I will look forward to this for sure.
I've had Scotch ales before, and I know I've liked them. I really couldn't tell you ones I've had in the past, because it's been a while. But I'm impressed by this. I like Bell's Two Hearted. That's like the beer that I am most familiar with the Bell's Brewery, and that's a very popular, heavy, like high percentage beer. And they aren't disappointing with this Christmas ale either.
First time anything from Bell's for me, and like I said, I will definitely be on the lookout for other things from their brewing company as well as other Scotch ales to compare and contrast and see, if it's just this particular Scotch ale that's really good that I like, or if it's, something where I'm going to turn into a Scotch ale beer drinker here moving forward. So, all right, enough putting this beer over. Sumo scale 1 to 5. Where would you rate the Bell's Brewing Inc. Christmas Ale Scotch Ale?
I think I'm going to go with a 4.25 on this one.
Yeah, I'm going to keep it steady at a 4 to go along last week with the Old Man Winter. I am very surprised, pleasantly surprised, very happy with this beer. And like I said, slow and steady wins the race with this. It's 7.5% alcohol. It's very enjoyable to drink. Great taste, great flavor. You definitely get that warming feeling. On a cold winter day, like you do a shot of bourbon or sip on some bourbon, a little warm sipper, like you can feel the warm. And as I'm drinking this, I can feel, the warmth, which is rare from a beer. So I would highly suggest this and go with a 4.
I agree with you, because I was thinking the same thing. I was thinking, like, for the people that like a shot in a beer, I don't think you need the shot. I think this will get you there.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. Absolutely. So that's a 4.25 from Chris and a 4 for myself on the sumo scale for the Bell's Brewery Inc. Christmas Ale. And as always, with every drink of the week, we ask that you pick up your bottles, cans, your shots, your brown paper bags, whatever you're drinking with us this week, and hold them up high as we go to wood ships and good ships and ships that sail the seas. But the best ships are friendships, and friends will always be. Salute. All right, this week in sports, we'll continue to air our Festivus grievances with stuff in the sports world, and I'm just gonna kick this off right from Jump Street. Right, the college football playoff is fucking bullshit.
Agreed.
It's not a true national champion. I can't, I watched the ranking show Tuesday night, and the Jagoff that's the chair committee this year. He gets on, and Reese Davis is asking him questions, and he's like, asked him about how Iowa State is up to number 6 with 2 losses, and one of the losses was to Louisiana, who's ranked 19th, and how does the committee value Iowa State as high as they did? And this Jagoff is like, well, we watched Iowa State, and they have good defense, good offense, and they have the leading rusher in the country, and that has nothing to do. Them having the leading rusher in the country has nothing to do with them being one of the top 4 teams in the country. You can't put a 2-loss Iowa State team ahead of an undefeated Cincinnati. And I don't, save me the bullshit of, strength of schedule and all that other stuff. No, if take the names away, just throw up the resumes. Cincinnati resume is just as strong as Iowa State's, and this whole fictitious world that they've developed, where anybody has a chance at the national championship, is just a complete falsehood. And this season has brought it to light more than any other. Mm-hmm. If you're not a Power 5 school, you're not going to play for the national championship. So why don't we just come out and state the obvious? And then if you are a Power 5 school, if you're not Ohio State, Alabama, and Clemson, you're fighting for one spot, because every single year Alabama's going to win the SEC, Ohio State's going to win the Big Ten, Clemson's going to win the ACC. So those are your 3 teams every single year. You're fighting for one spot.
And then if Notre Dame gets close, they'll be the 4th team.
If Notre Dame runs the table as an independent, they'll be the 4th team.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's a farce. It's a sham, and I can't stand it. I can't stand it. The fact that Ohio State has played 5 games this year,
and they made
and yeah, talent-wise, they're one of the best teams in the country. And you can't – and here's the other thing that I hate with this, right? They talked about it on Tuesday night again. These teams have built up equity with what they've done over the years, and that's why they get the benefit of the doubt. No, that's not supposed to factor in. It's not supposed to be what you did last year allows you to get into the playoff this year. This year is this year. Last year is last year. It's the 4 best teams each year. Yeah. So stop backloading the cachet of, well, this team's equity is built up, because it doesn't apply to every single team. How does Florida lose to a 3-win LSU team that has been garbage this year, and yet they only fall 1 spot in the rankings?
That's the whole point of having seasons in sports, is that it only matters what you do in that year and that season. And it doesn't make sense to, like you said, to go back and say, oh yeah, they had a great past couple of years.
Yeah,
doesn't matter.
Yeah, and the Cincinnati coach, the AD said it best this week. He said, "Why are we getting penalized and we dropped the spot because we couldn't play because of COVID?" But yet Ohio State had 3 games canceled because of COVID.
They're in the top 4.
And they're in the top 4. It makes no sense at all.
No.
And then here's my thing. I'm not saying it's an advantage, but I'm not saying they'll do anything with it. Ohio State played 5 games. Everybody else played 10, 11?
Close.
Banged up.
Between 9 and 11.
You get fresh Ohio State.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's like I said, this year has been was the BCS perfect when they did the BCS? No.
No.
Everybody when the college football playoff came into play, we're like, okay, we're getting somewhere. It's better. It by no means is perfect, and it's been a sham since day one. It's not anybody can win the national championship. If you stop doing preseason rankings, stop putting a number on a team, because when a team has a certain preseason ranking, doesn't matter when they lose, they're not going to drop off. If Alabama's preseason ranked number 1 and they lose a game in week 3, they're not going to be out of the college football playoff, because they're still going to they'll be in that top 5 to 6 teams, because it's Alabama. Just stop assigning preseason rankings. Don't rank anybody until you have the college football playoff rankings, and then you can legitimately rank the teams, and then you can move and shuffle there accordingly. But like you said, you can't penalize a team for not playing, drop them 3 spots in 2 weeks like they did Cincinnati, but yet Ohio State's still top 4. It's just it's frustrating,
with 4 less games.
Yeah, and the whole bureaucracy and politics around, well, we can't expand it past 4 and bullshit. Every other college football division has a true playoff, but Division I football.
Mm-hmm.
And it's all tied to money in bowl games. Well, guess what? Bowl games are an antiquated system. They're like, bowl games don't matter no more.
No, there's too many.
Bowl games don't matter. So why don't you run an 8 or 16 team playoff? You can have your big 6. You can have your big 6, so you can have your Sugar Bowl, your Fiesta Bowl, your Rose Bowl, whatever, and each one of those gets a semifinal game like they do now. Your other bowl games can hold the first round, second round, so those games are still getting teams, and they're getting better matchups because it's playoff rounds, and run it like you would any other Division 2, 3, FBS, whatever they're called now, and run it like a true playoff system.
Well, it's not that hard.
No, it's because it's tied up into so much money, and everybody's greasing everybody's hand, that we got to run this stupid system where they tout it as, oh, well, we're concerned about the student athlete and overworking them, and it's about college first. And no, every other division runs a playoff through finals and everything else.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's not about that. It's more about, I don't see them doing like the bowl games attached to semifinals and playoffs and all that, because, if Chick-fil-A Bowl is having a bowl game, but it's the semifinal game, not the final, it doesn't sound as prestigious. Chick-fil-A wants that prestigious, bowl game win.
But they're not getting
semifinal.
Chick-fil-A don't do bowl.
I just, I can't stand it. I think it's just ridiculous. Like, there's no point in even watching the championship games today, because you know who the top 4 are going to be.
Very true.
There's no drama. You know who the 4 is. The only thing that can change is the order.
That's it.
Right. That's the only thing that can change. So, to me, it doesn't matter. It's like, who the 4 are. You're going to get it, and it's just whatever. I can care less. So,
Are
yeah.
there any bowl games this year?
What's that?
Are there any bowl games this year?
There are, but a lot of teams are opting out and not even going to bowl games because of COVID and what all that entails, and not having fans. So a lot of bowls are canceling.
That's another thing. If you opt out of a bowl, the bowl don't need to be there.
Like Pitt came out and said they're not playing in a bowl this year. Virginia was, I think Virginia Tech was another team that opted out. Like, teams are already saying that they're not going to bowl games because of everything. So it's like, what's the point?
Yeah, Washington just came out this morning and said they don't want no bowl, and they got swapped out from the game yesterday because
they got held out of the Pac-12 championship game because of COVID. So yeah, I mean, that's my sports grievance. Another one that I have. Can we change the name of the NFL MVP award to just the NFL Quarterback of the Year award. Every freaking NFL MVP list that I've seen is nothing but quarterbacks. MVP is supposed to be the most valuable player, right? And yeah, quarterback is the most important position, right? You're not going to win in the NFL if you don't have a good quarterback. But that doesn't mean that they're the best player in the league that particular year. It's just like the Heisman being nothing but quarterbacks every year. When's the last time a quarterback? When's the last time a Heisman Trophy winner that wasn't a quarterback won the Heisman Trophy?
Was it
Derrick Henry?
Derrick Henry?
Oh, Henry won it? Okay. I went way back.
I mean, Derrick Henry. Adrian Peterson was the last non-quarterback to win the NFL MVP, and that was 2012.
Wow.
And how many people can you say have been nominated since that weren't quarterbacks?
That weren't quarterbacks. Go figure. I don't know.
Very few. Was Donald even up for it when he was a defensive MVP?
I believe he was, but like he got defensive player, so that just was like, oh, you got defensive player of the year, so you're not nominated for MVP. Like, change the name. Like you. So here, they run this BS over with, offensive player of the year is typically, somebody that's not a quarterback. Well, change the name of the MVP because it's not the MVP. It's literally quarterback of the year.
Mm-hmm.
And I get it, stats and everything else run it. So okay, you're going to look and say, well, Patrick Mahomes and Aaron Rodgers are definitely the front runners for MVP. True. But also you look at Aaron Donald or you look at TJ Watt, Myles Garrett for however you feel about him. But up until he missed a couple games with COVID, like they're having seasons that are, worthy of being in the discussion. I mean, they put out this week that for Derrick Henry to be even in the conversation for MVP, he has to rush for over 2,000 yards. Like, come on,
that's
really?
Not this day.
And he's a person who could take the game over, like literally take the game over.
Yeah, okay, that's where your baseline is for a non-quarterback. A running back has to rush for over 2,000 yards to win MVP. Really? Like, come on, how many times has it been done since the NFL has been in existence? Twice. Who was it? Chris Johnson and Walter Payton, right? I mean, it's crazy. Like I just don't get it. Stop calling it the MVP if it's not the MVP. Stop calling it the Heisman Trophy winner because it's not the best player in college football. It's the best quarterback in college football, not the best player. And Ndamukong Suh should have won the Heisman. Why? Because he was the best player in college football. It just doesn't make sense. I can't stand it.
There have been 6 2,000-yard rushers in history.
Yeah, so there's and the league's been around for how many years?
What are they pushing on? Oh, what are they?
Like it's
104 seasons or something like that.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah,
I'm thinking 75.
I guess a couple of things outside of grievance wise to touch on in sports. Cleveland Indians announced that they will be dropping the Indians name. They will no longer be known as the Cleveland Indians. We saw this change was to be expected given everything that they came out around the Indians name and how people found that to be offensive.
You're going to be the Cleveland baseball team?
I mean, apparently they're supposed to be announcing a new team name in a couple weeks, so they've been working on this for a while.
Okay.
So we saw the logo change. To me, the logo was more offensive than the name Indians. I get, not trying to diminish what Native Americans feel about being called Indians. That's not what I'm doing here. I'm just, if you're looking at the name and the logo that Cleveland had, the logo to me would have been more offensive than the name Indians. They changed the logo to just the C. They got rid of, the chief. So
That
yeah,
will
I don't.
on in the major league movies now.
Yeah, what's the so yeah? Are they gonna?
Stuff like that. CGI everything out.
Is
So
Roger
yeah,
Dorn rolling in his grave?
none of that old lady bullshit, Dorn.
Bob Uecker's just drunk somewhere. He doesn't know what the team's called.
They said that they weren't going to use the name Tribe. That's one thing I heard that they said they're not going to use. So we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. Jumping around here, a couple of things that I have marked off. Yoel Romero's headed to Bellator. He agreed to a new deal with Bellator and expected to sign here soon, and will debut in 2021 at 205 pounds. So another UFC signing for Bellator, from a person that has a pretty good name in the world of mixed martial arts there. There's that. What else do we have? NBA kicks off this upcoming week. December 22nd is the start of the regular season. If you didn't catch it, Kyrie Irving was walking around burning sage last night before the preseason game in Boston TD Garden. So
Gotta keep the evil spirits out.
he is a weird cat, man.
Like I said, speaking of Cleveland, he's got Jabu somewhere in the locker room.
Yeah. Burning sage. I mean, he's a flat earther. Like Kyrie is his own. He is his own person for sure.
What Charles Barkley said about him.
No, I didn't catch it.
Yeah, he basically saying just shut up and dribble. Basically, you're not the smartest person in the world.
In the flat world.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. I'm curious to see what the Nets look like this year. Because they do have a good young core. I think adding KD and Kyrie will help them. Whether or not they win the East, I don't know. We'll see. They looked good last night against the Celtics. KD looks to be back, for anybody that you could say coming off an Achilles injury. So, good for him. I'm glad to see him back. But yeah, I don't know. We'll see what happens there. So that tips off Tuesday. Christmas Day, you get the group of 5 games that start at like noon for the NBA. So I'll be watching that. NFL wise, today we have the first Saturday games of the season. We got a Saturday night doubleheader. For NFL games this week, it's the who's playing tonight? The Broncos and somebody, and then Packers and Carolina is the late game. So that's something to watch here. Going into it, see if the Steelers can bounce back. They're in a fucking just a horrible offensive rut right now.
Terrible.
Yeah, Booger McFarland came out and said that the offensive line is soft. So we'll see if that gets them to change the way that they go out and handle business this weekend against the Bengals. It's the Bengals. I'm not going to take anything away from it. If they blow the Bengals out, I'm not going to say they're back. Like, let me see what you do next week against the Colts, and then in the last game of the season against the Browns. So
they said if Pittsburgh do win, they do win the division because of the Browns game from thing.
Right. Yeah, they won't have. Yeah. So, I mean, that is what it is. Like, you're not going to get the number 1 seed because Kansas City is not losing. So
maybe to the Saints, they're beatable. I need everybody to stop believing that they're sliced bread. They're beatable.
Who, the Chiefs?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're beatable, but what I'm saying is they're not going to lose the rest of the regular season. They're going to get the 1 seed and lock that up. Like,
You don't think the Saints got a chance? I mean, Breeze. I don't trust a Gibby Breeze, but
no, I don't, because Breeze is they're rushing Breeze back to play because they lost last week. They don't want to lose too much ground to the Packers, and then Mike Thomas might not play again because of his ankle. So if you're down Breeze and Thomas, I don't see you beating the Chiefs because you don't have enough offensive firepower to keep up with them. So, I mean, that's that. Jumping back to college football real quick, Vanderbilt kicker Sarah Fuller actually kicked a field goal in a game last weekend. She's the first woman to score in a Power Five football game. She kicked off a couple weeks ago, made history there, and then continued on to make history again. So kudos to her, big ups to her. I know a lot of people were shitting on it when she did that kickoff, and just shut up and enjoy it for what it is. It's an opportunity. She got it. She wasn't the one that was out there searching for it. They came to her due to COVID issues and being down people, and she stepped up and said, "Yeah, I'll do it."
she has to do.
Yeah, it's not the easiest thing for her to take on that weight. I would assume that's a high pressure situation, because if she goes out there and fails miserably, then it's like, yeah, hey, let's end this talk of women kicking in games. But good for her, kudos. So glad to see that happen. What else in sports? Oh, there was a Monday night game, right? Cleveland, Baltimore, probably the best game of the season so far as entertainment value. I wish the stadium would have collapsed on both teams, but that's because I'm a Steelers fan and I hate the Ravens and the Browns. But there was a guy on FanDuel. So FanDuel, if you bet on FanDuel, you can do in-game betting. So you can take multiple bets in-game. And this guy hit a parlay, a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. A nine bet parlay, a 9-bet in-game parlay, right?
Wow.
It was a $10 wager. Guess what he won on this 9-game parlay on a $10 wager?
Wow.
100,000.
$15,360.72.
Jeez,
Wow.
that's a hell of a bet.
So if you don't bet on FanDuel is a really probably the best site to bet on. They return money when stuff's not on the up and up. You can do in-game betting like this where you can take different things. He had Mark Andrews to get over 45.5 receiving yards, Lamar Jackson to rush over 63.5 yards, J.K. Dobbins to rush over 48.5 yards. There's a ton of stuff that you can bet on, but you can do these crazy 10, 12, 14 parlay bets, put $5 or $10 up, and if you hit. Like the odds of him hitting was plus 153,507 was the odds. So
I don't think I've ever heard anybody parlay more than 2 things at a time.
Yeah, so that I did it once. When they first did it, it was the Chiefs. It was early in the season. It was the Chiefs and somebody else, and FanDuel was running a special where they had in-game betting parlays that you could go in, and it was risk-free. You could bet up to $25, and if you hit, you won. If not, you got your $25 back. It was like a special to get people to sign up in that. So I did it and put a 12, I think it was like 10 or 12 parlay bet in there. But yeah, like it's crazy. You can go on and do it, and like you put a $10 bet down, you can win, 150 grand. Like I'll gladly bet $10 on something and take the chances. It's no different than me putting $10 in a scratch off and trying to scratch off to win 100K. Like,
Sure.
and my odds are better on the parlay than they are hitting on the scratch off. So I mean, kudos to that guy. That's a hell of an early Christmas present.
For sure.
Talking about coming up $10 to 15 grand. Like, geez, oh man, that's a hell of a come up. Oh, but yeah. Anybody else got any grievances in sports? I know I kind of took over the segment here, but a little fired up with shit that I saw this week.
No grievances, but did you see that Major League Baseball integrated the Negro League into their records and all that stuff?
Yeah.
Yes. Well overdue.
Was it from 1920 to 48? That's the era that they're incorporating.
Mm-hmm. About time.
Yeah.
Like, jeez.
So does that mean Josh Gibson will be recognized as the true home run king?
No.
See, then it's not valid.
They said they're still working on getting all the scores and stats, so it's going to be an ongoing process. But they said that, I guess, from prior to 1920 and even during 20s after, there were a lot of exhibition games, and they think that's where a lot of his stuff was the exhibition games and everything, so it wasn't necessarily counted in official games.
I mean, the man hit over 900. He hit over 900 home runs. So, like, if you take away exhibition games, what's that drop him down to?
Right now, I think they have him between 200 and 300.
So he hit 700 home runs in exhibition games. That's what they're saying. He only hit 200 to 300 in quote unquote Major League Baseball.
But that's where they're at now. Like I said, they're still doing the stats, so it's going to be an ongoing total. So
that sounds kind of familiar. Stop the count.
Yeah, it's been long overdue for those individuals to be recognized. You know, due to all the challenges that they faced in being blackballed from Major League Baseball. That's a huge part of the history of the game. You can't not talk about those players when you bring up baseball. So, you know, for Babe Ruth, you got to bring up Josh Gibson. You know, Nolan Ryan, you got to bring up Satchel Paige. You know what I mean? Like you gotta include those players in those conversations because they were some of the best players that people didn't get to see play, which was a shame because, you know, for what it's worth, they were some of the greatest players of all time.
Yes, they are.
And they had 3 female players who played but don't qualify as major leaguers during their because of their timeline issue.
Yeah. So
were they prior to 1920 or?
Not sure.
Okay.
All right. Yeah, that's all. I don't have any other grievances there. Like I said, the big thing this week for me was and it's just general, you know, the stupid voting, the Heisman list, the NFL MVP list, you know, college football playoff, the sham that they ran. It's ridiculous. Whatever. I'm over it.
What Tennessee do?
Huh?
What did Tennessee do?
I don't know what Tennessee's doing. I'm seeing Northwestern beating Ohio State right now.
Duh, please have that happen. Don't jinx it. That'll be like the greatest thing ever. So, all right. Anybody got anything else for this week in sports?
I have a grievance with. I think the NFL needs to go to a Week 9 bye period for the whole league.
Oh, yeah, you did
Everybody
mention
gets the same advantage because this year is kind of like was kind of like a little rough on the Steelers.
That idea is good. I mean, everybody gets a bye. Like everybody's bye week is right in the middle of the season,
like a break, like all-star break. But
they won't ever do that.
They won't.
because we won't have football.
The money, they won't do that for the money. You know, they floated out and not necessarily next season 2021, but I believe for 2022 the 17 game schedule instead of 16 games, so you would have 2 bye weeks.
Okay.
I would think you would have 2 bye weeks, so it would be like 18 weeks with 17 games and 18-week schedule with 2 bye weeks. Because you can't add an extra game and not give an extra bye week.
You know,
It'll be car crash city. It's hard enough to get through a season healthy now with a 16-game schedule and a 1 week bye week.
And they say also they don't know where that extra game is going to come from. It's like you can't come from the NFC side if you're the AFC because you play division versus division. And
Well, it's gonna be an interconference game.
Yeah.
It'll be an interconference game.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I don't know. We'll see. It's not a bad idea to do a week 9 bye week because, like you said, you get everybody. But for money and TV and everything else, they would never do that.
It's just 1 week in the middle of the season, no football at all. Yeah, sponsors ain't gonna be down for that.
Nah. Has anybody heard anything about the Pro Bowl this year? I know that it's not supposed to be. I don't know if they're gonna play it, but is it supposed to be different this year where they're gonna do like say competition wise stuff like they used to do leading up to the Pro Bowl?
they're not playing a game, but I think they're going to do something virtual. Probably play Madden. Who knows?
They're gonna play Madden.
I wouldn't mind seeing it. I wouldn't mind seeing it being. You know how they used to do like the quarterback challenges and running back challenges and all that stuff like before the Pro Bowl, the week leading up to it. Like
still do that.
Yeah, but make that be the Pro Bowl instead of actually playing a game.
Oh yeah, that's a good idea.
Mm-hmm. So that way you don't get like, because Pro Bowl now the top 3 people drop out, so you're looking at like Mitchell Trubisky being a Pro Bowler because the 3 other quarterbacks ahead of him opted out. Yeah. But if you do it to where, you're going to Hawaii or Orlando, wherever you're doing it, but you're doing it as like the competition stuff between quarterbacks, between defensive backs, running backs, whatever, D linemen, like if you do it that way, then you can. I think it'll be better. I think you'll get people to stay involved. You can have prize money for each position for, who wins that particular competition. And then you can do like a AFC, NFC type deal, overall, where the conference that has the most wins out of individual competitions gets an additional check added to the pot for them. So like, I think that would be a decent way of getting your stars there on a regular basis and added incentive of, you can get individual prize money, you get additional money for conference win for total competitions. Just do it that way instead of doing it, where you're actually going and playing a game because
it'll be player safety.
Yeah, player safety. But the Pro Bowl itself hasn't been a game worth watching in years. So
did anybody vote at all?
I did not vote for the Pro Bowl. I know here's a thing that's great. So, and I heard this on Pat McAfee's show this week. So apparently, how the Jaguars, when they traded Yannick Ngakoue to the Vikings, right before the season started or right after the season started, they traded him to the Vikings. Okay, the Vikings then traded him 2 weeks later. They traded him to the Ravens, right? If Yannick Ngakoue is a Pro Bowler, right? He gets voted as a Pro Bowler. The Vikings then owe the Jaguars like a higher pick. It turns into like a 3rd round pick instead of a 5th round pick or whatever it was, right? Yeah. So the Jaguars fans, the Ravens fans, Packers fans, Lions fans, and Bears fans are all getting together and flooding the vote for Yannick Ngakoue to be a Pro Bowler. So it screws over the Vikings and it costs them a higher draft pick. I think that's awesome.
Yeah. I went on and voted. They don't even have like NFC, AFC anymore. It was just like pick the top 6 in each position.
Okay.
So I'm just wondering how that's going to work. And like the top 6 of every position, like you don't need 6 centers. So I'm not sure how they're working this out. Is it going to be one team, one Pro Bowl team, or is it going to be NFC, AFC?
Well, I know a couple of years ago they did the thing where they had like Deion Sanders and Jerry Rice were drafting players like how like the NBA did, the last couple of years with the All-Star game. I don't know if that's how they still did it. Like I said, I haven't watched the Pro Bowl in a couple of years, so maybe if that's the case, then I can see just voting top players, 5 or 6 at each position, and then they have captains that pick a team based off of who's there and who's available.
I think they might have did that last year too.
Yeah, I know Michael Irvin was a captain one year, and somebody else. Yeah, so we'll see. But getting ready, you can tell it's season's wrapping up here where you start getting Saturday games for NFL. I like to keep the Saturdays just to the playoffs. Like that's how playoffs football is ready. Wild card weekend, you got them Saturday games. But I'm not mad at having the ability to watch college football. And then NFL football at night. So it'll be interesting ratings-wise because the Broncos game is on at 4:30, and that's the same time as the Clemson-Notre Dame game.
Yeah.
We kicked off at 4. And then Green Bay and Carolina play at 8:30, and 8 o'clock is the Cincinnati-Tulsa championship game. So
It's
we'll
Broncos
see.
Bills, so it might be a little bit of a draw.
Broncos and who? Bills. Right. Broncos and Bills. Yeah. I need Josh Allen to get hurt. I need Alvin Kamara to get hurt. I need Dalvin Cook to get hurt. And I need Allen Robinson. And I need Allen Robinson to get hurt for me to win my fantasy football matchup this week and go to the championship. So my grievance is if none of those players get hurt, the fix was in. I'm holding it. I come into the playoffs with a team filled with duct tape and bubble gum. Freaking Julio Jones hasn't played in weeks. Mike Evans has been banged up, and he's only getting 3 passes a game from Tom Brady. McLaurin doesn't have a quarterback thrown to him no more. Raheem Mostert's been hurt all year. It's unbelievable. But
the 2020 of rosters.
Such is life of fantasy football playoffs. So who knows? Maybe I get a Christmas miracle and the fantasy gods bless me with a win this week. It's going to be really hard to do, but I'm praying because that next round is money round. So either way, I'm walking away with money. So
hey, if that dude on FanDuel can get the parlay, you can win fantasy football.
Yeah, no, I'm gonna get crushed. It's gonna be a murder scene, and I don't even know. Like, I can't even do anything about it, truly. So that's this week in sports. Thanks for answering some grievances around sports. If you got any, feel free reach out to us and let us know if anything else you want to air your grievance for sports this week or the year in general. That's it for that.
All right, gentlemen, that's going to do it for episode 16 of the Dumb Marks podcast. This week, we finally got on Pandora. So if you have been having trouble finding us somewhere, we are now officially rounded out, I think, on pretty much everywhere where podcasts are available. I know Jason was happy because he said that he listens to most stuff on Pandora. So, yeah, but other than where you can find us, make sure you follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. We're going to be putting a lot more live content over on there. So hit the subscribe and the bell, and you'll get notifications when our videos are going to be dropping. And if you don't want to comment on social media, you can always email us at dumbmarkspod@gmail.com. And I think other than that, I think we have a few more things to deal with, grievances and Christmas. So who wants to start us off?
Go ahead, Jay. You can throw out. So for I was gonna say kick around any last grievances you have, and then since it is Christmas week this week, to go around and give out your either best present, worst Christmas present, or best memory, worst Christmas memory.
I will say my grievance is I hate shoveling snow. That's one. And eggnog is trash. I don't know how you guys feel. I usually get attacked. Eggnog, gotta go.
I actually like eggnog.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna hate eggnog. I bought a thing at Turner's. I will say Turner's eggnog is better than Schneider's eggnog. So if we're gonna compare eggnogs, Turner's is the best.
Maybe I'll try that.
Turner's is the best, and then if you add Captain Morgan to your eggnog. Captain Morgan to the eggnog.
Yeah.
Is this
works.
drinking blue?
So
So Turner's this year put out a red velvet eggnog, and I tried that. It wasn't bad. The only downside to it, it looked like you were drinking a bottle of Pepto.
yeah, no, don't give me flavored eggnogs. Let's not venture out and do that. Just eggnog is eggnog. I don't need red velvet, Snicker, but like I don't need 77 different flavors of eggnog. Just keep it to egg.
I haven't been able to buy it yet either. Maggie's Farm Rum down the Strip District is making their own homemade eggnog and selling it like with the alcohol already mixed in. I've tried to go on there a couple times to buy it. It looks like it's been selling out pretty quickly. I'm hoping maybe I can pick up a bottle this week. There's not a lot in my family that like it. I think me and my cousin Bobby are the only ones that actually enjoy it. So
Yeah. Jason, just to piggyback off your shoveling snow grievance, and this will be my last grievance. People that are bitching about the snow plows and not having their streets plowed whenever we have a semi blizzard, you need to shut the hell up, okay? And the amount of people that were tagging the city of Pittsburgh on Twitter, bitching and moaning about how their street hasn't been plowed and everything else, just need to shut up. And the city of Pittsburgh's Twitter account, by far the best troll job of the week. So to each person that tagged them and complained about it, they had this response to them. Thanks for reaching out. Crews have been working through the storm, which has dumped 11 inches in a short amount of time. They remain on the roads. You can track where they are and where they have been here. And it gives the snowplow tracker app for the person to click on and see where they've been and which streets have been plowed. So give the plow drivers a break. Would perfect world, would every road be clear and salted and everything else whenever the snowstorm hits? Absolutely. But I mean, the amount of snow that fell was fast and heavy, and you got to give these people time. They're out there, doing their job and risking their lives driving a big salt truck around in blizzard conditions. So cut them some slack, quit busting their balls. Some of these guys are out for, my brother plows, so I know some of those guys are out sometimes for, 24, 30 hours straight, depending on how the snowstorm is. So cut them some slack, ease up, and kudos to the city of Pittsburgh for being a troll this week on Twitter.
Jason,
Anybody else got any final grievances?
Yeah, my grievances out.
no final grievances. Do you want to start going around with our best Christmas moments?
Yep, go ahead. Somebody kick it off.
I'll start.
Go.
So my best Christmas gift I ever got when the parents bought me the Huffy White Heat. That was the bikes of all bikes. Mm-hmm. Then I remember the worst Christmas gift is whenever Voltron first came out in the late 80s, and I wanted the Voltron itself, and it cost too much at the time. So I remember my parents getting me a rip-off version that came from it looked like the Dollar Tree or something. And I was like, what? Voltec. I was like, that's not Voltron. They were like, but it's the same thing. It was like, nah. So nah. So that's my best and my worst Christmas gift.
My family's favorite story for me is, I think it was like around whenever I was 3 or 4, somewhere like that. My Buddy was like the hot item that year. And every time the My Buddy commercial would come on, they said, I was in front of the TV. I had to watch the My Buddy commercial. So they bought me the My Buddy doll. Whenever I got it, I didn't care about My Buddy. All I cared about was the box that it came in. As for a worst gift, I don't even know if I can think of a worst gift. I guess, as a kid, whenever you get like socks and underwear, you just sit there and go like, what do I want this shit for? But it's like now as an adult, just like, cool, I don't have to go buy them myself now.
The best gifts now.
Those are definitely special now.
My worst, I like everything I get, but I will say my worst gift may have to been one day I used to be a big trading card guy. I got a deck of country music trading cards. I still have those to this day. I'm sure I have a Reba McEntire somewhere.
As I was saying, I'll trade you my Reba McEntire for your Garth Brooks. Those are real random. Like I have USA Olympic cards, country cards, and Jurassic Park cards. For some reason, I don't know why. Yeah, I think
dig those out one day. See if I got a cut black.
I think those country trading cards were a big hot ticket item in Braddock that year.
And my best may have been like every Christmas moment every year with family is just great just because you're with family. But normally when me and my brothers and sisters can do something together. So I think anytime I had a game system was great. But when I got the Nintendo 64, it might have been the best one. I had Mortal Kombat the first day, and I was like, you know what? No, I don't want it. Best decision ever. Took it back and got Mario 64. One of the greatest games ever.
I miss my 64.
Miss it, yeah.
I have mine still.
But I have to do a game night once the pandemic ends.
I got a broke controller.
So for me, my favorite Christmas moment would be whenever I first got my Nintendo. When Nintendo, I was probably 6 or 7 years old, I think. Yeah, the original NES. My dad was a steel worker, so there was times with Christmas where, depending on what shift he worked, he either wasn't at home in the morning when we opened up presents, or had to leave to go in for daylight shift, or whatever the case may be. So Christmas, and holidays in general, there were times whenever he wasn't there for us to open up presents and everything else. But I'll never forget that day. He had off that year, and just so happened to be the year that got the original NES. And I just remember him, me, and my sister playing Mario Brothers and Duck Hunt for like 8 hours straight. Like, it was just that's like one of the best Christmas memories that I have. The worst Christmas memory also deals with probably one of my favorite presents. So 3 years old, I get my first wrestling ring. It was a wooden wrestling ring, and I got into wrestling from my first babysitter. She was 16 at the time, and that's how I got started watching wrestling. So I was 3 years old. My sister at the time was 2. Christmas morning, got a wooden wrestling ring. I got my first couple wrestling figures, and I'm playing in my ring and everything else. And my sister plops her ass down and breaks my wooden wrestling ring Christmas morning. That hatred for my sister has never left me. A couple years later, she ruined my Hot Wheels by ripping off her diaper and shitting on my Hot Wheels. So not only did she break my wrestling ring, but she broke, she just defecated all over my Hot Wheels bike with the red, black, and yellow strings off the handles. That was the shit. So yeah, that unfortunately is probably the worst Christmas memory for me. It wasn't even a day old. Like, you broke it day of Christmas. Like, who does that? Who does that? Just flop. Just sit your fat ass down in my wrestling ring. Thanks.
I don't know. It sounds like next week we might have to sit down and talk with Steve to work some things out.
There's been traumatizing things that happened as a child growing up. Those just being 2 things. Yeah. But so yeah, with that being said, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays to everybody out there. And enjoy your time with your family. If you are getting together with loved ones, be safe, wear masks, stay social distance. We got to get ahead of this bitch COVID that's been running rampant the whole year. And with that, I'll leave you with this Christmas quote for the end of the show this week. Nothing ever seems to be too bad, too hard, or too sad when you've got a Christmas tree in the living room. And with that, you can catch us around the way.